Hello fellow filmmakers, we are very happy to be here today talking to you all about how to distribute your documentary films.
Yeah, today's a great episode to really empower you guys about how to get your films out there in front of your audience. We're going to be covering a few topics. The first thing is talking about how you build your audience in the first place.
And the second, we're going to be talking about how to host screenings of your film to get them in front of your audiences.
Yep, so that's the initial release window strategy. And then we're going to be talking about all of those ancillary platforms from video on demand to TV and everything in between to really get your film out there over a long period of time.
All right, so distribution. We specialise in impact films, so distribution for us has many different shapes and sizes, but the way we really start all of our films is what we call a campaign-based distribution model, and what that means is that it's not just about the feature film that we release, it's about all the things that happen in the lead up to it.
That's right, and this activity of building an audience happens 12 months out from release often, and we are releasing all types of content, including lots of short films on social media platforms in particular, but also using partner networks and other networks to build an audience. And this really starts from a zero base and over time turns into an exponential growth curve.
So when you first start, you've got to be really thinking about who is that audience, who is your film for, what are the key messages, and who needs to see your film to get the result that you're looking for. And once you kind of got a good idea of that, you can start figuring out which social platforms you're going to really lean into. And I always recommend YouTube. I think YouTube is one of the best platforms for getting started with really getting your content out there.
Yep, and over that first period of maybe 6 to 12 months, you're looking to build your core audience, your real fan base. And often that's in the tens of thousands of people, and that's a really great launching point for when you release your film. So what's the next step in the process?
So next you'll be looking at how you actually release the film, and we generally start with what we call hosted screenings, which is where we invite everybody who's engaged with the project to host a screening, and it could be in a venue like a cinema, it could be in a university lecture theatre, it could be in a community hall, it could be anywhere that they want to, but it's about them getting a whole audience together, sitting down and watching the film together.
Yeah, and if the film's being released theatrically at cinemas, then we're also trying to create this event type experience in the cinemas where there's Q&As, where it's taking it from being a film screening plus a social gathering plus an event, something that can be really attractive to your core audience so that you can get them along, get them super engaged so that drives the word of mouth and it drives that growth curve forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can get everybody in a room together and you can get them talking, asking questions, that's where that real engagement happens, and that's where you're really going to drive that interest in the topic and get that real buy-in from the audience to be part of the solution and whatever the call to action you're giving them is.
Yep, and you can actually map this and model it, and often that model is going to look like, I think they call it a hockey stick shaped curve. Big guy, can you tell us what that means?
Hockey stick growth is sudden and extremely rapid growth after a long period of linear growth.
Yeah, so basically it means you're starting from a point of zero growth and you're steadily building, and as you go through time, you're reaching more and more and more people. So this is a really important part of that process, is making sure that you have a successful launch window, and it's a launch that doesn't rely solely on your publicist, doesn't rely solely on your advertising, doesn't rely solely on your distributor. You've got more irons in the fire. You are more empowered to have a successful release of your film if you go this way.
And don't forget, you can monetize all these screenings too. They don't have to be free events. You can certainly charge ticket pricing. You can work with the cinema to, however you want to set it up in the box office.
Screening fees, yeah.
There's all kinds of ways. So don't feel like you're, just going to be giving your film away for nothing. If you need to raise money back off the sale of your film, then you should absolutely monetize it.
Yeah, that's right. And either, that money can go back to paying off the film, paying off your investors, or the way we like to do it is actually using it to have a sustained release of the film where we can really invest in the people and the marketing and advertising we need so that the film continues to do its work and reach a greater and greater audience over time.
So that's the first part of releasing the actual film, and then comes the more traditional models. So you might be looking at things like video on demand, broadcast television, all the university distribution models as well. So there's plenty of ways to get your film out there.
Absolutely. In-flight, streaming services. There's a whole multitude of ways your films get out there, and it's actually really exciting to see your films still making an impact over a long period of time, and we often see that impact on platforms like YouTube and through educational distribution, where you can see that it's getting picked up by universities and libraries and schools, and getting those reports back from your distributors or your royalty gathering partners, and really seeing that sustained impact. YouTube's really close to your heart. I think we've seen this in a big way on our very first impact film.
Yeah, the first impact film that we ever produced was called Life Before Death, and we released that in 2012. So it's had over 10 years it's been in release, and on YouTube it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and we get tens of thousands of views every month on it.
So is it reaching a greater audience now than it did during the initial phase?
Yeah, absolutely. It's building and building and building. I think it took about 5 years to hit 1 million views on the channel, and now it's clocking close to 3 million views. So it's gaining momentum all the time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's the sort of shelf life you want to see after you invest so much time, effort and money in producing a film. You want to see it reaching an audience over a long period of time. So I really hope that this has helped you today. And if you're interested to find out more about this, check out our new ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Video Storytelling.
Yeah, you can find that on the Moonshine Communications Academy website. So go and download your copy of that. And if there's other areas in distribution that you'd like to know more about, please leave us comments, because we can do another episode that hones in on a particular area that you might be trying to sort out for your own film right now.
See you next week.